Yes, history is not as secular as you might think. Let's take, for example, Harriet Tubman, who worked on the Underground Railroad during the Civil War, a secret passageway for slaves to be free and to come to the North. She's very famous, and recent efforts have been pushed for her to be on the $20 bill, replacing Andrew Jackson. But many do not know that Tubman could have feasibly had a conversation with both Presidents Thomas Jefferson and future President Ronald Reagan during her lifetime. How is this possible? Even though Jefferson was elected president in the year 1800 and Reagan was elected president in the year 1980, there was only about 85 years between Jefferson's death and Reagan's birth. And in that time period was the life of Harriet Tubman. When she was born in 1822, Jefferson was still alive. And when Reagan was born in 1911, Tubman was still alive. She could have had conversations with both presidents. Pretty crazy to think. It just shows us that the United States is not as old as we think it might be. We are still a very young nation. And that these events so far back in history are not so ancient as we sometimes treat them. They really happened, were very real to the people in them. Let's take for another example, President Dwight D. Eisenhower. His service in World War II was the position of Allied Commander of Troops in Europe. He might be most famous for commanding troops in the D-Day invasion that opened up a second front on Normandy Beach in France in 1944. Also serving in that same war was President Jimmy Carter. Carter was sent to Hawaii as part of service in the United States Navy. These two men that would both be president in the future served in the same war and fought for the same causes. This is pretty crazy considering Eisenhower was born in the year 1890 and Carter is still alive today. That just spans a president that was born in the 19th century to a president who's still going strong in the 21st century. They fought in the same war. And it again shows you that this country is still not as old as we think. Those events that we feel like are so far back in history, those dates are so long ago, were not really as far back as we think them to be sometimes. And history is just not as secular as we think. They're not isolated events happening one at a time. It is flow of things happening continuously at the same time sometimes. History is not as secular